Good afternoon, class. Today we are going to look at name, states, text, and if functions. So I want us to consider these tabs down here. I'm going to click on names, and basically you can name a cell. So instead of having a generic reference over here which says F17, which is not extremely helpful if you are trying to deal with multiple kind of entities. So we can name this reference. So for example, when I click on this 25, you see that the cell reference is actually beef. And if I say is equal to beef, it puts in the value that is in this cell called beef, which is 25. So for example, you're writing this ugly formula of PMT, B17, B19, B18 times B19 minus B16. It's not very descriptive. So you can name your cells as APR, period per periods, years, periods, loan, a little more descriptive than these references right here, B17, B19. So I would like you to use this naming convention for your current homework assignment, right? So this example basically goes into showing you that 583 is corn acres, and you can see that's what the cell reference is. This is the corn price, 221, yield, so on and so forth. So you can see how helpful this is for um, a long formula to make it more descriptive. And here are some guidelines for what's allowed and what's not allowed. So please follow these conventions when you're using. So fairly straightforward. Please send me an email or come during my office hours if anything is not clear. But I'm hoping that this is quite self-explanatory. But if it isn't, please feel free to ask me. Next, we look at date and time, a very commonly used function in Excel. So you can see the various ways date can be represented. So you have the standard month, day, year format, and you can use the date function, which gives you the year, the month, and the day over here. You can use the is equal to now function, which will give you the date and time. So if right now I type is equal to now, see these ugly hashtags? Basically, it's my column width. So when I increase the column width, I'm able to see the date, which is 17th September, 1516, 3:16 p.m. You should probably, if this video is capturing it correctly, it should show on the um, window right here. So that's an important function. Now, then you have other functions, date value. So the date value will uh, give you of this particular date right here, right? And the day, month, year, weekday. So if example you are already have a particular date, you can get the day, you can get the month, the year of that. um, Fairly useful if you are doing that. But my favorite function in Excel is actually is equal to today. So whenever you are writing some kind of a Excel sheet which is to be updated every day, and you want the date to be, let's say, on this corner right here. So if you write is equal to today, that automatically updates the date, and anytime you open this sheet, let's say you open the sheet tomorrow, it will show 18th September. So very nice function. It's one of my favorite functions in Excel. Um, One of my jobs was uh, logging the days of athletes when they would come to study hall at Georgia Tech, and every time I had to enter the date, so I used to wonder, is there a way to write the date without me having to write it every day? And it was is equal to today function, and that's what I used every single time I did that. So that was a good one. So I strongly recommend using the is equal to today function as much as possible where you can. You can even do mathematical operations with is equal to today. So let's say you want to know what's the date 45 days from today. So somebody tells you, I will pay you 60 days from today. So you say is equal to today plus 60. So they will pay you on 16th November. Pretty helpful. So this is a very important section, the conditional, the if statement, and the syntax basically for that is very simple. If condition, result if condition is true, result if condition is false. For example, if I am sad, if it's true, eat chocolate. If it's false, eat chocolate. Whether I'm sad or happy, I eat chocolate. That's what I do, right? But let's say we are doing something a bit more serious than this kind of playful chocolate eating. So if a particular value, and by the way, these are the symbols, the operators that compare values one with another. So the greater than, the lesser than, the equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. So very important functions. Please remember these operators. And so here basically you have a conditional statement. If value A is less than value B, value B, value A. So if it is true that value B is greater than value A, then the answer is value B, or it's value A. So if value A is less than value B, then the result is value B, otherwise value A. A little more understandable format right here. So when I click on large, you can see how it has this formula. If the value in A55, which is this 1001, if A55 is greater than 1000, say large. If it is false, say small. So if this number is greater than 1000, say large, else small. That's why you see large is written, because 1001 is larger than 1000. Similarly, when I come here, if A56 is greater than 1000, write large, else small. You can see that 275 is less than 1000. That's why the answer is small and not large. And here I've put the formula in text, right? And this is for your additional information, not part of testing. So if you want to know more about how to use conditional statements, here's an example of balancing your checking account if you are so interested. Next, let's look at text. We looked at text earlier where we put the apostrophe where to convert something to text, but this is slightly different. This is a fancy word called concatenation where we put two texts together. So let's say my name is Peter Sale. So I am going to do is equal to this and this, and I have Peter Seal. Now, the problem is that it's not giving the space if I just write it like this. That's why I'm going to introduce a space right here. So I'm going to modify my formula, and I am going to add a space, and this should give me, yes it does, gives me Peter Sayal with a space. So remember, if you don't put this space right here, you will not get this clean looking Peter Sayal. You will see a joint Peter Sayal with no space in between, right? So please remember that. So let's say, for example, you're putting an address together. So somebody's given you the city, the state, the zip code, and you can do this right here where you have the city, the state, space, and the zip code. Okay, so that will give you that. So let's type it out for ourselves and see, are we able to get the same thing? Is equal to, and I'm going to put a comma. I'm going to put an and again. I'm going to put the state, and I'm going to put a space, and the zip code. And yes, I do get that. I should have added a space here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Space after the comma, and very nice. It looks perfect. So this is what we are looking at, and some more examples for you to look at. We will not go over the examples below, but it's for your reference. It's interesting things like converting something which is a mix of upper and lower case into all uppercase, where you can use this function called upper. Vice versa, you can convert to lower, or you can convert to a proper name, so everything is uppercase. You can use the proper function, it will convert it to Bill Bartlett. You can convert to text over here, and then you have the left three letters, left three characters of this name, it will give you BIL. The right three letters it will give you is ETT, right? And the middle it will give you as, it will count it off and see what's in the middle, and from the sixth onwards from the fourth, and it will give you Bart. Then it will give you the length. You want to know what's the length of this name, so it will give you as 13 characters including the space. And you want to search the letter A. Where does it occur in this? It will tell you that it is the seventh. Remember, the space is number 5, so 6 and 7. So it will give you that, right? And again, you can write Dear Bill. So you want to add a salutation, or you can add Dear Mr. Bartlett. And here again, you can search and you can write this um, function, this complex function right here. So in case you are writing a lot of letters to people, all this can be done. And again, coming to our paste special function, if you remember in our first lecture, we had looked at the paste special right here. So I said if you copy something, Control C, and if you paste it right here, it will give you exactly this, for the simple reason because it did not paste the value over here, but it pasted the formula. And so you can see the formula which says to um, do to go 2 spaces to the left, just do 120.49, and divided by the value 3 spaces to the left, which is 144.51, and it gives you that answer of 14.67. But when you come here, it says go 3 spaces to the left. There's nothing there. And same thing over here, there's nothing there. That's why it's showing division by 0. But if I wanted to take this value, so I come here and this is my copy button. So I copy this and I come here and I do a paste special and I paste values. And I say OK and see how nicely it copies the values over. So that's the paste special function. So whenever you want to use that. And if you ever need to round a value, then this is the function that you want to use where you're rounding up a value, right? So it will do the simple thing of rounding to the closest integer. So if it's less than 0.5, it will round down. If it's greater than 0.5, it will round up. So remember that, please. So you have these values and you can play around with them. The transpose function is quite helpful. You can use the transpose function to convert vertical values into horizontal values or horizontal values into vertical. The other trick I like to do is if I am doing this and let's say I want to convert these vertical values into horizontal, I again go to my paste special. See over here it says transpose. I click on it and perfect. It converts my vertical to horizontal values. Okay. And here it talks about grouping sheets. So let's say if I have my text and my paste SP. So I go ahead and I hit the control button and then I click. See how these two sheets are now linked, and I come to this cell which is K94. In K94 I write bold, underline, italicize, and I write my name. Enter. So I wrote it in the text sheet, right? So this is the text sheet, remember? This is where I was teaching you about the text functions. And in the K94, I've written Peter in K94 cell. I come to my paste SP, and if I've done this right, I should see Peter in K94 of this sheet as well. So this is the neat thing about grouping sheets, that what you do in one sheet carries over to the next sheet. But you want to be very careful with that, because if that wasn't what you were trying to do and they're still grouped, you will end up ruining the sheet. So if that's not what you wanted to do, just ungroup sheets. So I right click. So when right now these two sheets are grouped, I right click on the sheet and I say ungroup sheets, right? And I'm going to go ahead and remove this Peter. Okay, so that should be the lesson for today. And any questions or concerns, please email me or look me up during my office hours, or let me know if there is any concerns. Thank you so much.